today here we're talking about persuasion. Remember, we're in this unit here about other things, other factors. Remember, I said it again and again and again. I have free will. No, you don't have free will. All right, you have some free will. Sure. But there's all kinds of other factors out there. There are things that are happening whether you believe them or not. We just talked about biology. We talked about gender. We talked about these things. But also, there are other factors out there, the element of persuasion that are out there, in particular marketing and all of these other commercials. Okay? They do influence us. The process by which a message induces changes in beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors. Persuasion is very interesting. Basically, we're talking about the field of marketing. Go to your business class, this is what we're talking about. If a message is good, we call it education. We think it's factual. If it's bad, we call it propaganda. All right? It's something, education or propaganda. It depends on who you ask. Perhaps you all remember in Nazi Germany, World War II, they had the Ministry of Propaganda. I wonder, though I would love to see one of you tell me because I'm too lazy to figure it out. I wonder if you did a direct translation of Ministry of Propaganda or whatever they call it in German, I wonder if it was really called the Ministry of Education. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay? Here, in the last decade, American support for gay rights and gay civil unions and marriage has increased significantly. A lot of people say, hey, this is a result of better education. Other people say, nope, it's the result of propaganda. I'll leave it up to you. At the beginning of a current Iraq war, as part of the war effort, they always have the PSYOPs, right? The psychological operations, and their job is to do other things. And it's making me think of the time they did totally unrelated. They had the cult compound, and they played, what was it, Nancy Sinatra's song, These Boots Are Made for Walking, for hour after hour after hour, just piped it as loud as he could into the compound. We quit. We gave up. Whatever. At the beginning of the war, they dumped these leaflets by airplane or helicopter onto Iraq. If the oil industry is destroyed, your livelihood will be ruined. Help to prevent the sabotage of the Iraqi oil industry. Your family depends upon it. Here's another one. The coalition is here to put an end to the oppression caused by Saddam and his regime. Okay? Are these education or are these propaganda? It depends who you ask. The American soldiers say we're just educating these people. The Iraqi insurgents or whatever they'd be called over there are going to call these propaganda. Depends on who you're asking. Well, first thing I want to do is I want to point out something very important. When it comes to marketing, right, I said marketing or persuasion since this is the social psych class. The point of persuasion is one thing and one thing only, and that is to, well, think marketing, make you buy their product. Okay? The goal of marketing or persuasion is not to change your opinion on, no, the goal is to make you change your action. That's where this little graph is going to come to. This is a beautiful image. Okay? You take a look at the beginning. In order for persuasion to work, it's got to pass all of these thresholds. Okay? You have to pay attention. If there's a message and you don't pay attention to it, there is no possible way you're ever going to have any action. You're not going to change what you do. What happens if you pay attention but you don't understand it? It's not going to help you. What if you understand it but you don't believe it? It's not going to help you. What if you believe it but you don't remember it later when it really matters? Doesn't work. How about, well, behave accordingly, whatever. Act, don't act. And so we find that at any one of these stages, persuasion can be enhanced by enhancing any one of these points, all right? Pay attention to the message. All you got to do is put up a billboard with a woman with a great big, and guess what? You'll pay attention to the message. Want people to remember it? Make it into a jingle, all right? I mean, I can still remember this stupid jingle. I mean, when I was growing up on the radio, it was for the car company. Ernie Von Schladorn, Main Street in Menominee Falls, outside of Milwaukee. And I can still remember that to this day, all right? That's what persuasion is about, having to cross all of these hurdles, okay? All right. There's two ways that we persuade people. We use both the central route and the peripheral route. First off, the central route it can be thought of as rational and logical, whereas the peripheral route can be thought of as more emotional. And sometimes some people are more logical in their thinking, and sometimes they're more emotional in their thinking. And it depends on who the people are. It depends on how tired they are. turns out that, if an audience cares very deeply about an issue, you ought to be attempting to use the central route to persuade them. But obviously, no matter how intellectual you think you might be, you can't put deep thought into every issue, right? What brand of toilet paper will I buy? Just give me a break, man. I'm not going to put together a rational, logical thought on that. The peripheral route is much more basic, and it's cute. Things like this speaker's attractiveness will influence people. Here, in fact, I wrote this in great big letters. The goal of all persuasive messages is not to change opinions, but to change behaviors. Yeah, that's really what matters. Let me show you a couple of examples here. I like this. Okay, Beowulf clusters. Now, I don't know what the hell a Beowulf cluster is, but somebody must. Okay, and so here's the thing. Number one, as a persuasive message, the Beowulf clusters ad is clearly using the central route of persuasion. However, what was it? Pay attention to the message, I guess. Comprehended? Hell no. No action. All right, but it wasn't written for me, was it? Okay? So that's all right. And if I was to be buying a Beowulf cluster, I'm guessing that this is a handful of $1,000, whatever it is. Okay? And so they're clearly using the central route. They're giving you every single detail so you can make a completely rational decision. Now let's take a different product, a product that has fewer implications. Body wash. I guess this is Dove. Does it really matter in my life whether I buy Dove body wash or, I don't know, oil of Olay? Probably not. It's probably not going to be a world changer for me. All right, it's like 20 cents difference or something, and probably the same product, water with soap in it, right? So they're going to use a much simpler approach, the peripheral route of persuasion. Basically, hey, use our, and you'll have skin that looks wonderful too, something like that. So it depends on your audience, it depends on your product, which is the best, it depends on what's going on, okay? And for different people, I mean, I can imagine some situation. I just recently bought a new computer, and I guarantee you, this wouldn't have sold me a computer. This would have sold me a computer, okay? Different decisions require different things. Lots of words. You read them. Oh, I like this one. This is a combination of both central and peripheral because they recognize that this advertisement is being directed at two distinctly different populations, parents and children. All right, Angelo's Steak and Pizza, Pasta, Italian Buffet, $8.95, Myrtle Beach. Clearly this is at some tourist part of Myrtle Beach. I guess that's in Carolina or something, right? And so the left side of this sign is clearly designed to be the central route of persuasion, the logic, the facts. The right side of the sign, on the other hand, is intended to grab you in the peripheral route, intended for the children, to grab their attention, because, of course, kids make some decisions too, right? Whatever. So we have a combination of each, and it's kind of cute. We serve kids. I don't know. I really hope that kid he didn't look clean. I don't know. He looks like he's still wearing a diaper, to be honest. I hope he's not in my spaghetti. So what other elements might affect persuasion? And it's the speaker. The speaker, different speakers have different levels of credibility. A credible speaker is one who's believable, one who's an expert. Or more to the point, the degree to which the audience believes that they're an expert. Attractiveness, I hate to say it, but attractive communicators tend to be more persuasive than unattractive communicators. It's a fact of life. I know you can't judge a book by its cover, but we all do, okay? It's just what we do. Like athletes make very persuasive spokespeople, even though these athletes have absolutely no relationship to the product being sold. Like, I know, maybe again, I've dated myself. Michael Jordan and the Tidy Whities, the Fruit of the Loom. What relationship does Michael Jordan have to Fruit of the Loom? Why just because an attractive presenter is more persuasive? And similarity, this is very important. We're much more persuaded. We'll come back to this in another chapter, especially when we talk about social learning and aggression. We tend to imitate people that are like us. We tend to want to be like people like us. We're more persuaded if the person trying to persuade us is like us. We find that people such as, I'm envisioning Hillary Clinton, 2007, 2008, when she was looking for the nomination, for the Democratic nomination for president. And I see her in Iowa, and I see her dressed in her plain clothing, and I see her eating pancakes in this silly restaurant and trying to leave a really good tip, and just like, I'm one of you. I'm like you. This is what she's going for. I'm like you. Boom. So it was an attempt. What are this? 6 persuasion principles? Yeah, doesn't sound like something I want to read. Sounds like something you might want to read, though, huh? So who does it? Well, well-educated people are more likely to travel the central route, but that's not always true because, like I said, I mean, even a well-educated person has to buy body wash, right? Audiences that are thoughtful tend to, use the central route, but uninterested audiences are more likely to respond to the simpler cues such as attractiveness. At the same time, if you associate a message with positive feelings, it's more persuasive. Here they had people read different persuasive arguments about a cure for cancer or, I don't know, the need for armed forces or moon trips or something. And then they had them read these things, and some people read these arguments while eating potato chips, and some read them while they were not eating potato chips. And when people eat while reading, they're more persuaded, assumingly that the act of eating makes you happy, and happy makes you more likely to be persuaded. All right? Here's a very good one. In fact, I want to say this is a direct question off of a quiz. A persuasive campaign for smoking might read something like, smoking kills. Stopping smoking now is the best defense. Okay, that's it. You tell your audience, what is the problem? Smoking kills. What is the solution to that problem? Stopping smoking now is the best defense. Here we find these are the ads that they place on, I think these came off of Canadian cigarette packages. I believe by September 2012, American cigarette packages are going to have a very similar campaign going on. Much more graphic, much more in your face. Clearly, arousing fear leads to persuasion. You know what? I don't know. Only a highly whatever. Read the book. Here's a quick one here. Here's some cognitive psych for you. Perhaps you remember the primacy effect and the recency effect in memory. And so, when should I give my message? I'm in a debate with, another presidential candidate. When should I be? Should I be first or should I be second? Well, it really depends on timing of events. Because if you're in a situation where you have 2 messages, there's a blank time, and then the people go and vote, then you want to be message 1. You want to be this person on the debate. Because this message is going to be more accepted than this one. That's the primacy effect. Things that come first are remembered better. However, if there's going to be a delay of time between them and then people immediately make a response, message 2 is going to be much more accepted because it was seen more recently. This one is delayed away in time. This one is still fresh in memory. And so therefore, you make your decisions based on how it's going to be done. Now, don't you think that those stupid lawyers don't know this stuff, because they do. The lawyers know all about this stuff. Their job is to persuade. I hate to say it, but our legal system is not about right and wrong. It's about who can persuade a jury that this is true. And these little tricks, and we have many tricks like this, these little tricks, yeah, in fact, we'll come off to social psychology and the law in like chapter 13 or something. These types of tricks are the ones that make all the difference in the world. We'll stop there and pick up on the rest of this stuff in the next